dialogue, and this is based on the objection or concern where you're talking with someone and they say everything sounds good, but really it's a minimal savings compared to what I'm paying my broker now, right? So this might be in a market center that the cap is 18 plus 3, right? The $3,000 royalty, or maybe they're with a lower cost broker. There's so many low value, low cost brokerages out there, that it's not a huge savings, right? So this dialogue, I'm going to make the assumption that there is no difference in what they would pay to EXP versus what they're paying in their current circumstance. And so if someone said that to me, this is how the dialogue would go. That's fantastic, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. And so let me just understand what you're saying, right? You wouldn't make the move over based on the money that would happen through split and caps and that kind of stuff. And that's why I think the power of eXp Realty are the game changers, right? And there's 3 game changers. There's the technology side, to have the cloud office, to have Hank in here today sharing with the entire group on all the things that he does, for extra value, to share those ideas, I think has tremendous value for those of you that were, in that session. To hear top listing agents and top teams share team building and production strategies and those things. There's great value in that. But for me, the equity piece and the revenue share piece are huge game changers that are financially tangible. And so, let's assume that split and cap is a wash. Let's just talk about, 2 huge financial game changers. And I always say this, every conversation I have, I try to work this in. I believe that there is no brokerage in the country worth anything without its agents. Do you agree with that? I've never had an agent or broker disagree with that statement. And so why is it that all of the equity sits with a single owner or a small elite group of owners? And the equity that they enjoy in that business is built on the production and the reputation of agents like you. And so eXp has this huge game changer. Our agents are shareholders in the company. We have stock awards. And then I talk about the stock awards, right? First deal, capping, bringing a friend. I talk about the stock purchase program, and we'll go over some examples of that. Ian shared his, maybe Chuck will share his. Maybe some of you guys have been doing it for a year or so, and you can share that stuff. But that's a huge part of the conversation. And then if I'm talking to someone who's iconic, to share the concept of the Icon bonus program is phenomenal. And so if what they're paying in is about a wash, let's talk about what they're getting in return. Right? It's what do I pay and what do I get? There's a net number. And then on the revenue share side, maybe you've only been here for a month or 2 and you don't have revenue share going yet, or maybe you've been here 3 or 4 months and you have a few people, but they haven't been here long enough to have their deals closed and get revenue share paid out. And so maybe your story isn't an amazing story. And I most certainly, don't want to get into, hey, if you're here in 90 days, you're going to be financially independent. But, you can share real stories, right? Where could I be and make what I make in passive income, right? Two months ago, it was 18,000. Last month, it was 25,000. This month, I'm pretty sure it's going to be over 30,000. It's already at 22,000 so far, and there's still almost 2 weeks worth of business to be closed. So let's say it's 30,000. How much money would I have to have in the bank in order to receive that kind of money? So let's say my run rate is 30,000. That's 360,000 a year. How much money would I have to have in the bank in order to, if I was receiving 5% interest, to make the same money? And I think it's something like $70 million. And so when you value a business, right, if a business is worth 3.5 times net or 10 times net, whatever it is, I have a company within the company. And if I were going to value it, to me, it's worth far more than 3.5 times what I'm getting paid. I would never sell it. It just pays. But I know that I'd have to have $70 million in an investment somewhere, in a money market somewhere, to pay me $360,000 a year in interest, passive income. That's craziness. And so if you're talking to someone where their entire perspective is predicated on I close a deal and I get paid something, do I get paid more or less with you? Maybe they're better off staying where they are. But if they're a business person, if they're bright enough to look at an overall opportunity, this really becomes a no-brainer. So usually if someone is saying this, it's because I haven't done my job to help them see the full value, right? And so I think it makes an awful lot of sense to know what you're talking about, what's important to someone before you start talking to them. Because if I'm talking about split and cap to someone who's in a situation where it's little to no savings, shame on me. I should be talking about the things that are different. If I'm talking to someone who's in a part of the country where they're paying their broker, $25,000 or $35,000 or $40,000 a year, then of course I want to talk about the cap because it's a huge difference, right? And so know who you're talking to. That's why I always talk about, your greatest strength is going to be talking to people in your local market, because you know how this model competes with the blue company, the red company, the yellow company. And when you're talking to someone, you should know, where the lead is. But the better you know your audience, the better you can tell the story that's most important to them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I hope that helps. Please send me any objections that you're getting that you want help with. I'll make it a featurette of the next session that we do. And the next session is the second Wednesday of September. And I'll see you guys all there. Thanks for coming in. I hope you found value in this past hour.
Thank you, Dave. Zach?